Today we're covering a topic that is near and dear to our hearts, the importance of entrepreneurship. And we have an amazing guest with us, none other than William Stern, the ultimate entrepreneur who delved into this world and this journey at the bright young age of
24
years old. And who better to enlighten us on the importance of doing that process, running through becoming an entrepreneur, than someone who did it at an age of 24. So, Mr. Stern, tell us a little bit about how someone is crazy enough at that young age to make this amazingly wild decision to go out on their own, having been inside of the corporate world.
Okay. Yeah. I think this is an important topic to touch upon. So I think a lot of intrapreneurs, so people that are sales minded that want to go off and start their own thing, they're nestled quite comfortably inside of a large, institutional company. And so they aspire to be something perhaps that they're not, or aspire to have something that they don't currently have. And that is the whole age old adage of the grass is greener on the other side. So if you are nestled quite comfortably in the nest of an institutional firm, but you have this itch that you need to scratch of becoming an entrepreneur, buyer beware, because the grass is not greener on the other side of the fence. I think when most people think about entrepreneurship, they think of, well, I started a lemonade stand right when I was in grade school, and that was the first inkling that I wanted to own and operate my own business. What are the headwinds for owning and operating a lemonade stand?
Many. The traffic patterns alone.
Yeah, you don't have to achieve a lot because there's no cost of goods sold. You're stealing lemons from your neighbor's tree. You're putting water into a jug from your faucet, and you're stealing sugar out of your mother's cabinet, right? To sweeten the lemonade. So you prop up a table on the corner and you have a hastily designed sign that says lemonade 25 cents. Everyone's going to buy because it's a kid who's selling lemonade and they feel some form of guilt to make a purchase. So it's not unlike a girl feeling prideful about selling, don't take offense to this. Try not to. Selling cookies door to door for the Girl Scouts. I knew I was an entrepreneur because when I was a Girl Scout,
I have a lot of good stories about selling Girl Scouts.
Because you can pressure. It's a high pressure sale. They're coming door to door. They're knocking. It's a cute little girl in a little outfit that you're like, oh, I can't turn her down. I'm diabetic. All right, I still buy her cookies.
My daughter got turned down all the time.
Yeah. Well, maybe she's not an entrepreneur, or maybe she is. I would say that using the example, can I sell lemonade or can I sell cookies? That is not the breeding ground of our entrepreneurship. And so I'd caution people to believe that, yes, I should leave the comfort of my nest in this large institutional company because I knew at a very early age I was an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur, there's like 4 tenets, I would say, that are indicative of entrepreneurship.
Awesome.
Innovation, risk management, financial acumen, and then resilience and adaptability. And I know resilience and adaptability is something near and dear to your heart. Because how many times have you heard people say well, if you're not getting the results you want, just keep going. And Dean's like,
I want to hear about the itch that you were talking about, because you have none of those 4 things. So I want to hear what was the itch?
Yeah, I think it's the innovation part. So when I describe the 4 major tenets to entrepreneurship, what I'm not saying, and please don't confuse this, what I'm not saying is that these 4 tenets of entrepreneurship need to be natively ingrained or part of your DNA as an entrepreneur. The 4 tenets, right, are the 4 legs of the stool. So you can have a partner that's good at one or the other. You can bring in talent, right, for financial acumen. But generally speaking, as an entrepreneur, You're trying to solve a problem that isn't currently solved in the marketplace. That's the difference between a small business owner and an entrepreneur. Small business owner can sell cookies door to door. Small business owner can make lemonade. But it's
Very interesting.
Yeah, but it's the innovation component that has to be natively within. And I think most companies that do well in life, that scale, are done so by the leaders that know how to sell something.
Interesting. So before we get to sales, you're describing the difference between a small business owner and an entrepreneur. So a small business owner is almost like a copycat, someone that's interested in taking something that's already being done and repeating it, or maybe improving it a little bit. But an entrepreneur is an innovator, someone that has a clear vision or clear idea of what new thing they're going to bring to the marketplace.
Yeah. I think an entrepreneurship, to say it differently, delivers value that doesn't currently exist in the marketplace. Whereas a business owner, like you said, maybe is just iterating on something.
Like buying a franchise would be an example of.
That's a business owner. That's a small business owner. Yeah, exactly.
Which can be a wonderful thing.
Yeah. And
nothing wrong with it.
No, exactly. And I would say that the universe needs both. 40% of America's GDP is made up of, right, small business owners' revenue.
No. But you talked about this itch, and I'm super interested in the audience learning, because very few people can describe it. Very few people can be honest about it. What is the itch that leads someone in their 20s to believe that they can go and be an entrepreneur, not a business owner? Why? What is this thing?
I think this, you're going to get nauseous as I describe this, but I think this has to do with a level of consciousness. I think when you start on your own to do something, when you venture into the unknown, you're thinking of yourself as a small business owner. It's not until the business gets probably past that 5-year marker where you realize that in order to stay in business, because 90% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, 50% fail within the first 2, but 90% will fail in the first 5 years. I feel like once you make it past that 5-year milestone, that's when you realize that you're not a business owner. You're an innovator, because in order to stay alive, you're forced to iterate.
Interesting. So everybody starts off as a business owner that probably started the business because they wanted freedom. They wanted to be right. They thought they could do it better. And there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Is there any room for me to tell like a quick story about my childhood?
No.
Well, then forget it.
Please do.
Then forget
Let's
it.
go.
My father is a foreigner. And like many foreigners that come to America, they own and operate their own business. My father owned and operated a business for 40 years, but it never made that shift from a small business to an enterprise level company. It never made it from a small business to a
mid-level business.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
it was a moving company.
It was a moving company.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he never learned to market. And I think this ties in really well to that pivotal moment where there was like a inflection point in my self-realization as in my journey as an entrepreneur, which is you realize that you have to change the way you market. And my father never realized it. So my father, very similarly to a real estate agent, relied upon word of mouth and referrals. And because it was a business that relied on his brawn, his strength, it wasn't something that he could do 5 days a week. Well, it wasn't something he could do 7 days a week. It was certainly not something he could do. Rephrase that. It was something that he couldn't do 5 days a week. Surely he could not do it 7 unless he hired other people. And my father never felt like so many small business owners that anyone could do it better than he could. He was handling their earthly possessions, right? Things that had passed down, art and furniture from one generation to the next. He felt very responsible for the furniture as if he was a caretaker to the next generation. And so that was the belief in his head. And so what it did is that's the ego, right? Talking. And it's protecting him from being able to scale and hire other people, trust, and build, accountability.
Yeah, it's funny. You're describing like an artisan,
Right.
right? Someone who's almost practicing an art of some kind,
Right.
And believes that it's a craft.
But it is.
But it's applying to a moving company.
Right. But it's the art of hospitality.
No.
That's what he prided himself on. In fact, he would bake cookies every week and then deliver those cookies to each client. Where have you ever heard this before?
Crazy.
He acted like he was an innkeeper, to your point.
No.
So he never learned to market. And because he never learned to market, he never hired, the company never grew. So when you look at his financials over the course of 40 years, the only change or increase that you would see had to do with a government mandate. He was based in California, a government mandated increase, very small increase in what he could charge insofar as an hourly rate is concerned. Right. So the PUC, which is the governing body that governs so many small businesses, including moving companies in the state of California, would say, well, the maximum that you can charge and the minimum that you can charge is X per hour. And you would have to adhere to those guidelines. And so he never grew and he never hired and he never iterated. And I think learning that lesson early on showed me that, at least in my field of vision, that if I didn't get a corporate or institutional job, that was the punishment. I would end up repeating the same history of my father. And a lot of people don't want to look to history, right, what's in the past, as guidance for the future. But the truth is that history is a prologue to your journey, either as an individual or as a business owner. So you can't ignore it. In fact, you have to read it, and you have to read it for understanding. It's not enough to just thumb through it. So in reading over my father's prologue, right, his 40 years as an entrepreneur in the United States, it almost seemed like he was being reprimanded or punished into this existence of leveraging brawn to make $80 an hour.
I wonder from his perspective if he felt that way or not.
I asked him that question. And what his response was, keep in mind that he came from a country that wasn't rich at the time.
Yeah.
He said it was wonderful. He said that he had freedom. And what made him become an entrepreneur was he had gotten fired a few times. And it was the worst feeling ever. And he never, ever wanted to have that feeling again. And so that feeling is what spawned his interest, right, in becoming an entrepreneur. So there's a lot to dig into there, but to keep the conversation moving, what I would say, and this is a sort of long-winded anecdote of my journey from working within a large firm and becoming someone who wanted to pursue this entrepreneurial journey. I saw him, and I told him this before he died. I said, I first saw you as a failure. But that was my own ego, right? That was the lens in which I viewed you.
Projecting.
Mm-hmm. And he had always encouraged me to go to law school, because law school was something where it's like, again, you can achieve something, which is your law degree, and it's not something they can take away. Although Michael Cohen would argue differently. But
they do take it away all the time.
They do take it away. But I think from his vantage point, right, that was not something on his radar for me. He wanted me to become a lawyer because it meant financial freedom, which was something he never really enjoyed. He enjoyed freedom of time, which some people would argue is more important, right? Never trade your time for money. Instead, trade your money for time. So as we get older, we're trying to buy back the wasted time of our past, right? Whereas in our future, we're frivolous with the time we spend and give to other people. Time is something you can give and never get back. And I used to say that
dun, dun, dun.
on the Stern Talk, but again, I don't want to make you more nauseous.
But I think we got some gems there. I mean, I think we got to the bottom of why entrepreneurship is important. Because for the vast majority of people that are entering entrepreneurship, freedom is their number one goal. And in turn, the freedom of the people that are pursuing entrepreneurship creates the freedom that we enjoy in America.
So I have a question. I founded Cardiff in 2004. You've been my best friend for over 30 years.
That word again.
Yeah. But we have been best friends since we were children. I didn't meet you on a diving trip in Maui a year ago and now refer to you as my best friend. I know you. We've talked about that before.
There were turtles.
I'll show you the best
snails.
Show you the best diving spots. No, we are truly.
They should find out why we bring this up.
Yeah,
this
right.
Story.
I'm
sure interesting story.
For any small business owner who's gone on vacation with his wife, with his family, they've run into the big belly, tanned, mustached, bald, stainless steel Rolex Submariner wearing, cocktail in the right hand guy who wants to ignore his wife and children and pivot to spending time with my new best friend Bill out here in the pool. We're going to meet him for dinner and show him the best diving spots. And they've all met that character. Yeah. But the truth is that my journey as described, I think so many business owners can relate to. However, while I founded Cardiff, through the first 3 years of operating that business, Dean acted like my consigliere, right? My COO, my legal counsel, my CFO, and I would call him. I remember like every Wednesday, every Thursday, you would slip into a little conference room and I would talk to you for an hour, sometimes even longer, while you were at work seeking guidance. And I don't know if that was very selfish of me to take your time, but at the same time, it was also probably very stupid because I'm pouring my heart out to you. But at the same time, once there was this cleansing of emotions, this cathartic release at the end, I would say to you, so like, when are you going to quit your job and be my business partner? So can you really quickly just talk about your journey? We really haven't talked about that.
Yeah. I mean, I had a great career going at a very successful company that was a registered investment advisor that was growing quickly. And, I was probably 26, 27 years old at the time. And nothing said that I should leave this job, right? Because there was a track record of growth. There's a track record of increasing financial remuneration. And just based on sort of titles and positions alone, you could tell that within 10 years, I was going to be a very wealthy person. And somehow, somewhere in the back of my head, I decided that I was bored and none of that was enough. And I had this idea in my head that what mattered was not a paycheck, but what mattered was equity. And I remember once I'd made up my mind to leave my career, I remember walking into the CEO's office and having this discussion about willing to trade my income for equity, more equity in the business. And I remember him looking at me like I was a complete and utter idiot, which I was. I didn't know what I was saying. I was highly uneducated in what, and he could tell.
Oh, on that topic.
On that topic.
Right.
And he knew, right? He knew that I hadn't gotten good guidance, that I hadn't sought the proper guidance. I didn't have the right
mentor
DNA and mentors,
right. Yes.
to understand what needed to be done. And so he probably felt like, that's a good lesson to learn for this kid. He's going to learn, right? It's not going to lose, just going to learn. And learn we did. But going back to, some of this questioning of what drives someone to enter the entrepreneurial journey and join you and do all of this stuff, it was my parents. Right? It's family.
Well, hold on a second. Because we're touching upon something very similar to me.
Yeah, absolutely. My parents really wanted me to be an entrepreneur. No,
they did not.
There are, I don't know what parents that are immigrants from a foreign country want their kid to be an entrepreneur.
Listen, some do, right?
Some
Indians, 1%. For example, right, have run, they still call it Patel hotels, right?
My parents just wanted a doctor or a lawyer. There wasn't anything in between.
You married one.
Yeah, great. and so, my parents, because they were not entrepreneurs, did not achieve the kind of success that I wanted for them. We're not going to say that the kind of success that they wanted for themselves, but the success that I imagined that they would have in America, right? But their family members that were entrepreneurs all seemed to have the trappings of success, right? The cars and the houses and the watches and the vacations, especially the vacations. I think that's what pisses you off the most. Seeing other people go on vacations you can't go on upset you as a child, I think, more than going to somebody's house or seeing somebody's BMW.
I would argue, right, that adults still suffer from that same malaise with the advent of social media, right? Yeah. You know, the wife is seeing somebody else going on vacation. They're turning to their husband. Why aren't we going on vacation? I don't think it's changed.
No, I think kids still react very much to that. They use that as a comparison tool.
Right.
Right.
Cars, houses, vacations, still same thing.
Yeah, but I don't know. For some reason, for me, the vacation thing bothered me more than anything else.
Yeah, it's interesting.
But
it
that's
wasn't
what
the trappings. You're not like a
you're not like a mansion guy. I like nice houses, but
a very large house.
But in the South Fork,
this guy. So, oh my gosh, consciousness, my friend.
Yeah. So I saw that, and it led me to make decisions about what I wanted to do that would change the course of my life. And
was it a rational decision?
No.
Was it an ego-driven decision?
I don't know. I'm not sure I'm psychologically trained enough to know. I'm sure part of it was ego, but I'm not very egocentric. So even at that time, I don't think I had that much confidence in myself.
Let's dig in. We'll be right back.
Yeah, we'll be right back. Dr. Phil.
Yeah.
How does that make you feel?
Yeah.
But yeah, there was a thing inside that wanted to come out.
Right.
And it came out in the form of me making this rash, moronic decision. Right? Not moronic looking back. Moronic if our child were making this decision today, it'd strangle them to death, right? Because we know how to guide our children through this decision-making process.
Well, we're uniquely qualified, right? However, in our youth, we lacked, like you said, the mentorship. We're from the wrong caste, if you will.
Yeah.
Right.
Lack of experience.
Right.
Right.
No one to turn to seek that type of guidance.
No. And no one was going to give it out for free. Not the people that I was around.
So let's pause real quick, because I think we're going down this road, and we're providing a lot of value. But if you want to get more value, what I would encourage you guys to do is go to www.jointhefraternity.com. This community that Dean and I are building, some people would refer to it as a community. Some people would refer to it as a coaching platform. I think I would argue that it has become a think tank of like-minded individuals that are looking to build and scale their business, to lean on each other for guidance and support to grow and to thrive, both personal growth and professional growth. And so I think if you're looking to make that change in your life, you're looking for that consciousness, you're looking for that personal and professional growth, go check it out. It's 30 days for free. www.jointhefraternity.com. Every Thursdays over Zoom, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We'll be right back. So please continue. You're like, where was I? Well, we're talking about vacations and entrepreneurship and making hastily, impulsive decisions because you have an itch to scratch about becoming a small business owner and not having the encouragement and support from your immediate family because it was too much risk in their eyes.
Yeah, somehow in my dumb little head, my young dumb little head, success gave me the confidence. Success inside of a bigger organization gave me the confidence to believe that I could do something without those supports, without those bumpers, if you will, in bowling. All right.
Are you being kind to yourself as you sort of harken back into your memory and you're turning the pages backwards of your own sort of biography, if you will? Do you think you're being kind to yourself when you say words like, because again,
I think I'm being accepting of myself.
Well, you're using language that would argue you could get the same point across, but you could be kinder to yourself.
Sure. I listen, we're on social media, right? This is YouTube. And, we got to make it a little spicy. I want some excitement in the language.
Oh, you're calling yourself stupid.
Sure.
Is that fair?
No. I mean, I think you're uninformed, right? You're ill-informed.
They say that the secret to the universe is knowing the true names of things. I think a lot of times business owners and people in general are unkind to themselves. And the problem is that even in your thoughts, whereas your words, people can hear, interpret how they want to, right? They can identify with the language that you're using. They can deflect the language. They can see it as you projecting. It's not me. It's obviously him or her. I think the problem is when you use language like stupid is that your ego can't discern from whether you're being jovial and humorous or being unkind.
Yeah. But I think it's very important to make the distinction between saying that you're stupid and saying a decision is stupid.
I like that.
Two different things.
Clip that up, Uncle F. That's if that's not a clip, I don't know what is.
Yeah.
But the truth is the decision was impulsive.
Probably.
Okay.
But impulsive over like a year process of thinking about it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that you can qualify that as impulsive.
Yeah. Maybe
thought about something for a year.
Impetuous.
And just impulsively pull the trigger.
Yeah. Well,
I'm not an impulsive person.
Well, it's funny you say that. People want to buy a fancy car, right? The decision can be impulsive, right? Meaning that they're thinking about it for a year.
Mm-hmm.
And then they go down to La Jolla or Newport Beach on a Saturday and they buy an orange Porsche.
Yeah.
Right. So,
I don't know. Like for me, I actually thinking about it more, it's not impulsive at all.
All right.
What it was ill-informed.
Okay.
It was not well thought through. It was not well researched, but it was not impulsive.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm offended because the decision for you to leave your institutional job led you to joining Cardiff, being my business partner and helping get Cardiff to where it is today, which is, almost deployed $9 billion worth of working capital to small business owners.
Yeah.
And I think
we did okay.
Yeah. The truth is, as we wrap up in these last and final thoughts, I think the truth is that if you're looking to start a business, you are going to start off with thoughts of comparison. I want that, but I only have this. It can be a drive to achieve, consumer related goods. I don't know, a car, a vacation, a bigger house.
Solve the things your parents could never solve for you.
Yeah. It could be this feeling of like, psychologically, it can be this feeling of, I never had enough, where you're leveraging and blaming what your parents couldn't achieve. And then you're shouldering that, putting it as a backpack that you wear like an Atlas stone as you climb this mountain of entrepreneurship. But I think the truth is what distinguishes a small business owner from achieving new heights, right, is the iteration, the
innovation and iteration.
Yeah, the innovation and the iteration.
You said it best, right? You said that innovation is the byproduct of time and iteration.
Yeah. And I often say, right, that greatness as an entrepreneur can be achieved if you have drive and trauma. So that's the equation that makes a great business owner.
Drive and trauma together equal grit.
I think so. We'll end on that note. Thanks everybody for tuning in to another episode of Behind the Business. Again, if we were able to deliver value, probably more so Dean than myself, I say that half joking, but it was good to hear you tell that story. I appreciate that. Join us every Thursday at 4 p.m. on Thursdays, Pacific time, www.jointhefraternity.com. It is an online community and think tank comprised of 6, 7, 8, even 9-figure entrepreneurs that are looking to grow and scale and network. We'd encourage you to join. There's no obligation to stay in it, but there's also 30 days for free. No credit card required.
That's a great deal.
Jump on in. The link's down below.
It'll be nothing like any other community that you could possibly join.
Yeah. Get on that journey. We'd love to see you. We'll see you next time, guys. Adios.